not having local governance is affecting us in a bad way, and that there has to be across cities in the country an urgent need to start promoting local governance.
The urban local governments, I mean, Delhi has it, and Kerala has it, and Telangana has it, Mizoram has it. A few states have it. Why is Karnataka not able to have, or any other state that's not able to have?
We have some of the worst bureaucrats who have not changed any system. They are actually bringing the country down as well.
But can they be blamed altogether?
I think they have to take a large part of the blame. They think that that person will make you vote for them, either by coercive power or by thuggery or by whatever means they want you to vote for them. Because you don't have governance at that local level, you don't know how to fix an area.
It's like the IPL for the Indian national team. Hi Sathya, good to be back.
Good to be back.
Monthly ones.
Monthly ones for Mango people.
For Mango people. Yeah.
Hey Susheel, why are politicians like diapers?
I don't know. I know it's an old joke, but I'll let you say it.
Because they need to be changed often and for the same reasons.
Yeah, I know. But so who's a good politician?
Hey, that's a good question. What is good and what is bad? Is outcome going to define whether he's good or bad? Or are you looking at his character and judging that person by how ideal a life he lives? Is that what we are looking at? Or are you wondering about is there a process of uh, what our imagination of this country is, and is he going to progress that and continue to kind of maintain that? So there are multiple questions that arise when you start defining the single word good or bad, right? So I don't know the perfect answer to it, but I think I have some ways in which we can think about it. What do you have in mind?
I'd imagine someone who's capable of delivering the expectations of the people he represents. First, he has to understand, he has to be connected with the people that he's representing, and there has to be some kind of a capacity that he has to get what we want, to get our expectations also met.
What is the expectations of people?
One, it is basic things, basic social good issues like our roads, our air, our electricity, our water, most of those basic stuff. In the name of development, what is good, what is bad? Is there some kind of discussion? Is there some kind of a conversation that he's having? Are we at all involved in that discussion? Does he take our concerns into account? Those are all the stuff that I think I'd imagine a good leader is.
Fair enough. I think it's election season, and we have to start looking at what we are heading into now. This month onwards, going into the next month, is the national elections, right? We are talking about the member of parliament being elected from around.
So are we voting for the guy to become the prime minister and not look at the guy who we are going to vote in our constituency? So what matters here? We shouldn't worry about who we vote for because we just want one person to come become the prime minister. Is that the reason? Or should we actually delve into the capability of the person that we are voting here, not necessarily his representation or his leader might become the prime minister? What do you think?
No, that's a very interesting way of looking at it. And that's where I think I was trying to understand is we have what we said is what do we expect as people is local issues, our ability to lead our lives with the freedoms that we have, with the ability to work with the government to enable us to conduct business every day, go to work, enjoy the environment, and sit around and build families and relationships. This is what people care about at a local level, right? But there are multiple levels of representation, and what we are going into in this election is a representation of our voices of some sort into the parliament of the country. So we are basically sending an emissary or a representative there. it doesn't matter which party that person belongs to. It is incidental that if you send from the party that is there in the center, you strengthen that. And if you're sending someone else, you are continuing to represent your voices, but he or she may do it in a different way, right? The importance of an MP to you in the local level needs to be translated into how that person represents you and your colleagues in that area at the national level, and what benefits in turn the person can bring to the local level. And that person also has some discretionary local area development funds which he or she can use and do some local work as well. But more importantly, there are rules being made, there are laws being made, there are acts being passed, and there is a support of the state that is being required to make central laws and things like that. There are two ways of looking at it. You may blindly say that we want everything from here to be supportive of what is happening at the center. The other way you could look at it is, can there be rational voices, right? And that, when you look at it that way and focus on who is the representative going to be at your constituency, you want to look for quality. That is my take. The quality of the representative needs to be far more than what they were earlier, because as a country, if we are maturing, and as a we are going to be doing newer, we are going to be progressing and doing whatever it is. What is the quality of your representative? What do they bring to the table? Are they bringing new ideas, new thoughts, new ways of working, new intelligence, new capacities and capabilities to the table? Or are they not capable of that? They may have come from some milieu of where they lived and where they have been. They might come from a village or whatever it might be. It doesn't matter. But they're representing, let's take urban. See, look, this podcast is about urban issues, right? We are ultimately in an urban area, and we want to talk about what does it mean for urban areas. Urban areas are rapidly growing, and they are the centers of the economy today, driving a large percentage of what is happening
in the state.
in the country and the state as well, right? And we are contributing massively as well. So, which also means the level of maturity that is required of politicians at the urban governance level has to be not marginally, many orders of magnitude higher. And that is the level we have to set in our politicians who are going to either represent us or be there, right? The quality of the people we are representing has to be something we have to read and understand. Who are these people? What do they know? How do they behave? How do they uh, lead us into something different, right? If not solving the local problems alone, representing these problems and crafting it in a way that they can add to the national kitty and bring more things back, or even independently be able to solve problems and restructure the place that they are in, working along with the legislators of the state and the corporators of the city that they are going to be representing. It's a complex task of representing on the outside and looking inwards and seeing how do we work and make this something. That leadership is required, and it requires tremendous amount of knowledge. I think we are continuing to not pay enough attention to the quality of the people. But that can come in two, three ways, right? You could either say that the quality of the person that I want is there, but they are not from the party that I want to vote to. That is obviously
So that was what I was going to ask. So what you're saying really is that it doesn't matter who the person or which party the person represents. You have to look at the person's capability representing your area. Is that what you're saying?
true. And the reason is, at least in the urban areas, you should start understanding, while you may like parties, I do too, and I like progress and all the economic benefits that we are getting and all those things. I think we have to start prioritizing capacities and capabilities of the people.
But parties are basically ideologies, right?
That too, right? Parties are ideologies, and you
So
have to be
when people kind of align themselves to ideologies, regardless of what which person they're voting, especially in a parliamentary election.
sure. Now, here's the thing, that's a challenge for the party that is putting up the candidate. Why do you have to take it upon yourself? What is the lesser of the evil that you have? The reason is, if the party is putting candidates who are not intelligent, it is up to them to come back and say, hey, look, all these guys in this area don't like what we are dishing out to them. It sends a message to whoever is putting up those candidates that we don't like who you are putting up. And second thing is, it also sends a message to the person contesting that I'm not good enough for this thing. I need to be better, or I need to change myself and look at being more evolved in how I think about things, right? And you need to send that message, and that's okay with the party. You don't have to think that, oh, if you didn't vote exactly this person and everything else is going for a toss. It is not, right? 140 crore people, you don't have to take it upon yourself to say that if I vote somebody else apart from the line of thought, everything is going to fall apart. It is not going to fall apart. But it is important for us to start paying attention to the quality of the candidates repeatedly, because that is what is going to help whichever party it is. They
So,
are also looking to put up intelligent candidates. They may not be finding them, and it is up to you to tell them, please make an effort, please make more effort in finding more intelligent people to represent us. Please find people who can capacitate themselves to be more better, right? I think we should send that message.
so if there are, educated, academically oriented, with a very good academic background, has a good experience of being in the public service. If those kind of people who are not necessarily the who form the political, what do you call it, who are not necessarily from a political descent, right? If they are more academically from an academic background versus a, a person who's played the art of politics, who do you think? I mean, you would want to represent you in the parliament, because they're going to be in the midst of all politicians, not academicians.
It's let's put it this way. It's the responsibility of the person who is coming in to execute his job responsibilities. You have to pick. You can't think you know more than that person in how he plays the politics or how he or she represents us there, right? What you have to say is, are you capable of, if there is a problem, it's not a standard civic problem. It's a problem of governance. It's a problem of a market. It's a problem of society. It's a problem of state. It's a problem of governance. It's a problem of bureaucracy. Or are you able to rein in the bureaucracy? Most of the people who are contesting do know the art of getting people, uh, uh, to work for them, right? So I don't think we can claim to know whether that person can be a politician or is that person an academic or whatever it is. You look at the background of the ability to understand issues, come up with intelligent ways of solving the problems and representing us in different ways at the center. That's the only way I can put it. You have to make a subjective choice. There are ideologies at play. Parties are about ideologies. You may want to choose this or that, but even when ideologies are not matching, I think it will pay dividends if you start recognizing the quality of the person.
Sure.
I know we have biases, we have ideological biases, we all do, we all have our favorites and whatever it is, but that is an anchoring bias you have. If you take in new information of candidates, you really have to start paying attention, especially in urban areas. We assume are far more educated people, and it is incumbent on us to understand more of who the person is and what that person is capable of showing in terms of leadership, and vote for that instead of just trying to say it doesn't matter. I think it's the most dangerous statement is it doesn't matter we are strengthening someone. True, we are, or we may not. It doesn't matter if you don't. Ultimately, your constituency and where you live, it comes back to the statement you just said. What do we care about? Our immediate surroundings and everything. Of course, we care about national priorities and everything else. But they know how to solve that. You solve for immediacy, you solve for choices that you make, and always prioritize more and more capable people, capable of understanding and representing your constituency smartly, intelligently, to the world outside,
Hmm.
beyond just you guys. Being able to be approachable and not just react to whatever you say, right? I mean, you can demand 100, we are all selfish people. We demand 100 unreasonable things for ourselves. And if that person is just catering to you because they don't know anything else, then that is not leadership. They need to be able to take in all these things, craft a way forward strategy, and help you represent yourself better and get development going, because what you care about comes from good capable people.
So, like political parties have this calculation of who to put where in order to gain, in order to have electoral gains. Voters also kind of play that maybe knowingly or unknowingly, where they say, what is the point in voting for this person when that party is likely to come into power? So, therefore, though we might not like that representative here, we need to strengthen them because then more decisions can happen more efficiently and solidly. So, I think voters also kind of fall into this calculation game, and we think, okay, though this person might be very efficient and educated and decent and all of that stuff, but he probably is not going to be is not going to be part of the party that might actually come into power. So is that a good assumption that voters make, or should that assumption change? If so, why?
Uh, the the parties know how to allocate seats, but they are also all the parties are looking to put better and better candidates. It's not that they want to necessarily put what we might call a bad candidate with low capacities to do anything, who's just going to sit there and
But
not
if
do
there are
anything.
candidates with criminal records but has better promise of winning, then there are some parties who feel that.
So because of that pressure, see, this is where we need to send a message, right? So
Yeah.
you should say that what is winning? They think that you will vote this person,
Hmm.
right? Or they think that that person will make you vote for them, either by coercive power or by thuggery or by whatever means they want you to vote for them. You should start saying these are not the ways we want our representatives to be. We don't want them forcing themselves down our throat. We don't want to choose like that. And in urban areas, we should make those statements that we don't want to be coercively be given some person and say, no, you have to vote for this guy, then only. And the political parties are also under pressure of people who are fielding them, right? The thuggery goes all the way
Yeah.
because that's the way we have been. When we were a tin pot democracy for so many years and we didn't care about all these things and thuggery was the only way to win, fair enough. But when you are maturing into a mature democracy with the ability to be growing and some being a part of the world power and all those things, it will be stupid of us to vote
Keep voting
thugs in
this.
keep voting these thugs
This.
into power.
Yeah.
You are in fact weakening the government by voting these thugs into power. In
Hmm.
fact, the party might even thank you for not voting thugs into power and say, I would much rather kick that person out, but because they arm twisted us into thinking that you will vote for them. Send that message and say we don't like these people.
I'm all for voting people with a very good track record, especially at least some level of understanding, or if not, a very good level of understanding of public policy and governance, both at the local and at this union level. Uh, though we'd love to have more and more of such candidates to come forward as our representatives, we are increasingly seeing that there are choices being made that are deliberately cutting these kind of people out in some parties. So when that happens, what, we don't vote?
No, choose the lesser of the evil. What can you do? But if you make that choice and you think that, oh, my good choice is going to go waste, then I think that's a bad way of thinking about even exercising your mandate. I think increasingly over time this will change, right? Once
Hmm.
you start showing that even a vote share for someone intelligent is becoming increasing, the message goes to the parties to say that, hey, look, they want better quality of people. I don't want to field you the next time. Don't arm twist me into fielding you,
Hmm.
right? It sends a message all the ways. And even the person standing will say, I want to be better for these people. I can't be doing random nonsense and then thinking that I can arm twist people into voting me. We have to start sending that message now.
So the question that I want to ask is, yes, of course, I completely agree with you that we have to have more efficient, more honorable leaders that go as our representation to the parliament. I hope that we all are able to make that change by casting our vote intelligently. Um, but this again is part of the union government election, right? So um, do understand that that is also important for us on a broader perspective. But let's slowly come back to this last mile governance
Hmm.
straight from there, right? That person is not going to be very effective in getting my roads fixed. or getting the water crisis in Bangalore fixed. He may be able to at a much central level in terms of diverting some grants and so on and so forth for our city. But despite whatever MPs that we have elected in the past, we still don't have a local governance here in Bangalore. Is that a particular party's problem or is that a systemic failure?
I think all parties are afraid of electing people. So before I jump into that, let me address this thing that the MP might not influence, local governance issues. They can, right? There are lots of topics in the concurrent list or the central list that is still applicable to the cities, right? So whether it is highways or interstate water sharing or transport funded projects like the suburban rail or metro in the case of Bengaluru, or certain policies that are there that can be bought in, there are a lot of those influences that they can represent and get sorted out. Increasingly, I've seen over the past 2 3 years people asking the members of parliament, what have you done to represent ourselves there and get what we need for our state? So that's an important part, especially since we are crying about our taxes or we're crying about many things. It's natural for those parties to defend themselves, but at the end of the day we have to be able to get them to get more things for our state, right? So that is there. And when they do get those centrally funded projects, even part funded with central government
Like the
stakeholding,
metro and all that.
possibly. So things like that, right? Some of the MPs have gone and but I know in Bengaluru, for example, the MPs have gone and sat down and reviewed these projects and tried to get some things done. And it need not be from exactly the same party for you to be able to do that. And I think we need to clearly make sure that we get good set of candidates who can intelligently represent us. Be that as it may, all of these parties now, after this election is over, we need to go out and ask for local governments. The last time we spoke about this, you asked me, are they afraid of losing? I kind of tried to answer it and not, but then at the end of the day, I think they are. All of them want to rig it in their favor, and they will wait for the appropriate time. They'll wait for this election, that one, and this one, and everything else. But there is an increasing restlessness in urban areas, at least where we both sit in Bengaluru. There is, of not having local governments, of having too big a city, of not having split the city, of trying to govern, of state trying to govern this by themselves, thinking they can do a better job. This decentralization and the devolution of the powers, the political powers, is increasingly uh, uh, becoming scarce. There is these centralization tendencies have increased now, right? Everything is going upwards and going somewhere else in the race for what we call, no, 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 we should be in control so we can develop faster. I think this is a mistaken impression. Not having local governance is affecting us in a bad way, and that there has to be, across cities in the country, an urgent need to start promoting local governance. And local governance is not new to us. It's not like we're talking about it only now. If you remember, it was imported in the British era, is when we had Madras was the first city to get local governance in, I was just reading it recently, in 1860 or whatever it is, right? Because whenever you couldn't govern effectively from far away and you want to focus on other things, you want to move the uh, uh, governance, to the local and more local level, and the state is where it is
But at that
failing.
time, there was no democracy, right? So it was.
Not at that time, but it's been 25 years since the 74th amendment. We still not been able to implement it, and elections are supposed to be held every 5 years for local governments. And I think we should start uh, focusing more on this now.
Yeah, the urban local governments, I mean, Delhi has it and Kerala has it and Telangana has it, Mizoram has it. A few states have it. Why is Karnataka not able to have, or any other state that's not able to have?
It's again goes back to the willingness of the people
Are
to
you saying
demand.
the politicians there are have gotten over the fact of being control hungry, or what is it?
I don't know. I was just reading a recent report where uh, the cities, the five South Indian states
Hmm.
of Telangana, Andhra, Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu has almost a third of the cities in the country. Uh, which are governable as a ULB, urban local body, right? That's a lot, 30% of them.
Mm.
Large cities these are, right? The amount of seats that they have, if you count the number of cities that they have, it represents a large amount of people. And it is a crime that we are not able to have the big cities take the lead in governance, right? There's just too much money and just people want it to be governed by ministers and other things. It is incumbent on us to ask for this and continue to push for local governance. This has to be the next big movement, and it has to come right after these elections. We have to push for states to start having, and it has to be a national movement. It's not just about just one city. It's about every large city trying to have their government in a very effective way. In fact, that strengthens whatever state government and national government to go and look outwards and build more, right? Even if you want to do beyond Bengaluru, for example, you need to have a good governance here so you don't get bogged down by this mess and you go and have the attention span to do more things. It's the same way that the state needs to be strong and be able to decentralize for themselves and do more things so that the center can go and look outwards and do instead of them meddling with the plumbing in your house, right? This is why you have to devolve more and more, and there is no reason for them not to do it. I mean, now they do have a reason. They just don't want to lose the power.
Why doesn't it ever become part of any party's manifesto? Even
I wish I had the
yeah.
answer to that, Susheel. You and I can only wish that these
So
people,
should Supreme Court always intervene in these things? I think they already have, but
that Madhya Pradesh case is one where they have already, in just 2022, it was ruled that 74th Amendment is not whenever you want. Now we need to take further actions in moving the courts. I hope there are people, I am talking to a few to see can we get some pressure to say that this is not something you don't get to not do, right? The way I have to look at it is, or you have to look at it, or the people have to look at it is, how do we get more people to care about this? How do we get more city dwellers to say, this is we can't be relying on the prime minister to fix the plumbing. Why aren't you decentralizing the cities? Why are you sitting over it? Why are you not able to decentralize, give this money and power to the city to say that you govern yourself? I will step in and support. I want to look at the other cities. You're taking too much of my attention.
so is it because the State Election Commission does not have the same kind of powers that the Election Commission of India has?
Well, all of these people have been, I don't know, effective to what extent it's politically contentious to say they have been effective or not. I don't think since TN we have had any good, uh, an election commission which has been realized. The Central Election Commission has been doing a good job of whatever they are doing, not to quite, but it leaves a lot to be desired. State election commissions are still
So it's controlled by the party in power in that state, right?
well, it's all most of these have been. It's increasingly seems that more and more institutions are being controlled by too many people.
Yes.
The independence of bodies, all these things we have to see how we can build a system which can function properly and nicely for us. We are losing outcomes in all of this mess.
Yeah.
Everybody is trying to think that I can do better, and ultimately people end up doing nothing. If you think that I won't win this city and keep sitting on it, and every party comes and says I won't win it, so I won't let the other person win it, and nobody gets it, who's losing out? We are losing out as people. Nobody ends up getting anything done, right? And I think at some point we have to make this a national issue and say, look, the cities need to start.
That's the whole point. No, I mean, how do you make it national when it's your city? It's what is it there for us as citizens of a city in order to uh, press the government to have urban local bodies come into?
I think it's time to get on the streets. I think only Freedom Park is open for us now. Maybe
Yeah.
we go there or get a bunch of people and go there and say that this is not acceptable anymore. I don't know what else, because people power is about going out there, and active citizenship is about caring about this and getting the right quality of people elected.
What do we do? As in, like, okay, you said it's how the citizens must ask for it, but ask who?
Ask the state government, because the state government is the one who is.
We've been asking the last 6 years. We've had all three combinations of governments come in rural Karnataka. We've had the BJP, then the Congress, then the JDS, and now the Congress again. But none of them have done it.
But it goes back to what you were saying. Is this too rich a place, or cities too rich a place for people to give up their power? I think the short answer is yes.
Sorry, say that again.
What was the question you asked? Is the city too rich
No, my summation was that, on the one hand, it's cities are a boon to a state's economy,
Correct.
right? I mean, we kind of contribute 57 to 60% of our state's economy in Karnataka. But it's also occurs because it's the cash cow for the political parties in power. So how do we kind of solve this problem, this quandary that we are in?
Multi-pronged action. It's not just our city. All big cities need to start taking their city governments very seriously now. It's time to hit the roads. It's time to go back and first is citizen action. Second is go back to the courts. There's also already a precedent saying you can't take this lightly. Push this. There is court action. There is citizen action. We just say we are covered very badly, right? You're trying to set some vision. It's not acting out. The bureaucrats. I don't know why you have to do. UPSC is one of the hardest exams, right?
Mm,
And people who crack that has to be more intelligent than you and me.
absolutely.
And yet, at the end of the day, they are just glorified file pushers. They are not reforming the system; they are using it for their own good,
Yeah.
right? So, what? Why are we wasting the talent there? I think Sanjeev Sanyal said it something like that, right? The economic advisor to them. He said, he in fact said, you don't need UPSC people. He's encouraging people not to go and write for this. And I mean, he's saying, don't all of you go into that, do other things. But here's my gripe. We have some of the worst bureaucrats who have not changed any system. They are actually bringing the country down as well.
But can they be blamed altogether? Because
I
that's
think
just
they have to take a large part of the blame. You can always say that the politicians don't know anything. Of course, they are just representing the people. They are not expected to know the system of governance. After a while, they will already do. The experienced politician who you haven't changed like the diaper, who's continuing to keep coming back and again, they understand the system of governance. But if you want fresh faces in there, they will come anew. They won't know the system, and the legal department and all these departments help them understand the system. But what ends up happening is you're both fighting, and either you are completely captive to the politician, or you're not able to explain and lay the groundwork in a way that you can enable the politician to do the job better, or you just get into cahoots with them and just keep doing the paper file pushing. I think most unimaginative bureaucrats of the generation I'm beginning to hear about and see. I don't know. They themselves are half of themselves are like given up on their own system and saying this is how it is going to be. We're just going to wallow in this muck and not try to reform anything. And
those
I think that's just really bad for us.
those are quite strong words coming from you. But yeah, I don't think I don't fully agree that they are to be blamed. I'm sure they're also stuck, feeling stuck, like most of us are. Uh, but to summarize, I think to have ULBs come into reality, the local state governments has to be pushed, and those can be pushed by the people who are residing in the respective cities, whether it's Chennai, whether it is Hyderabad, Bangalore, whatever it is. I think people from those cities, from our cities, have to come forward and pressurize the government. If that's not working, then we probably have to move the court. And if the local courts are not working, then we probably, like Madhya Pradesh State, we probably have to move to Supreme Court as well, though there is an order. But I don't know, maybe this SEC here is not so powerful enough as the ECI. Maybe that could be one of the reasons. We don't know what happens in the state government. But this thing is that we are all more aware of the national elections, the parliamentary elections, and how things happen at the center, and probably to a great extent how things happen at the state. But we are very less knowledgeable to what is happening in the city and how to make those difference in the city through our action. So I think with that,
What
uh,
we should,
I think we should wind up this session. It was
we should
great meeting you
we
again.
should use this occasion to call out to the people to go out and vote. It's a standard thing we say in April.
Can there be somebody, an organization, a group of organization that can come together to galvanize people from the city to come together, maybe a voting, maybe a signature campaign, maybe a petition filed in the local courts to push for local body elections.
That also has to happen. Petitions are one way. Actually, standing on the streets is another way. Getting to the courts is the third way. Uh, But at the end of the day, it's not just about the voting, right? We talk about it often. Is voting is just the first step in citizenship and democracy. If you're
Yes.
not voting the right people in, what is right, you can feel whatever is right. Subjectivity is yours. You have ideologies, you have leanings, you have your whatever basis you have. At the end of the day, if the person is not capable, not just of representing you and your community alone, but a large constituency of diverse people towards outcomes that we care about, how do we make those choices? What information do we need to go out and gather for ourselves in order to make those choices? These are all things I think we need to push for. And then say, go back out there. It doesn't end with the voting. Uh,
Yeah.
and how do we then continue to engage to ask for these big things? And I think getting those city corporation elections in many cities to become the norm, where the state election commission, just like the ECI, goes out there and says, okay, 5 years done, next one is coming, you don't get 8 years to decide this.
Yeah.
In 6 months,
I think the
let's
ruling
decide a
was
date.
that before the tenure ends, the election process should begin, just like how the election process happens in state and central.
Goes back to what you said about this state election commission.
Mm.
They should be strong enough to be driving the local mayoral elections,
Yeah.
local council elections. They should be driving this like the ECI does. Of course, in consultation with the parties or whatever, but they don't get to say after, you could, maybe you might need to do a delimitation and there's a little bit of time, but you have to do that ahead of time and make sure that for the next election, you don't have these large gaps that cannot be accepted. It was not accepted for the states. Uh, that also through a court precedent. Now you just cannot willy-nilly withhold state elections beyond a certain period of time. Within a certain period of time, the new state has to come in. You can't extinguish state government just like that, like we used to in the early days. The same maturity has to come for the city elections as well. Is that you cannot extinguish and sit saying that no, we'll figure this out. That should be unacceptable, and that is the next push of unacceptability of not having city governments. They may not be efficient, it'll take a while to mature, whatever it is. That is where we also build up a new crop of leaders for all these things.
Mm.
Because you don't have governance at that local level, you don't know how to fix an area.
It's like the IPL for the Indian national team.
Exactly.
You get the best crop
Exactly,
from there.
exactly. That's exactly how we think about it. If you don't build the local, if you haven't governed your area or your ward or your city, how are you going to govern the state or the country? Where is
Mm.
that crop of leadership and experience going to come from? You will notice that the people who have governed their states are the people who are doing, or the city are the ones who are doing better at governing larger and larger entities.
Yeah. Sure. So
Okay.
with that, I think the election seasons are coming up, and I think everyone, I wish um, good luck to all the parties that are competing for this. And I really hope every Bangalorean goes out and votes in these upcoming election and choose the party or the leader that you want. But please go vote. But after voting, the job doesn't end there. We have to press for local body elections here in Bangalore. Our city contributes the maximum revenue for the state, and our city deserves a local government. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.